Taking a moment. Good afternoon, everyone. We should be live. Um, this is the August 26th, 2025 meeting of the Advisory Committee on University Records. My name is Joseph Isaac. I'm with KDLA, and I am going to introduce the members for the purposes of the minutes. When I call your name, just unmute and give your institution. Vicky Cooper,
Vicky Cooper, Northern Kentucky University.
Jordan Conley,
Jordan Connolly, Eastern Kentucky University.
Hannah Pryor,
Hannah Pryor, University of Louisville.
Chris Ferguson,
Chris Ferguson, Murray State University.
Tammy Satterley,
Tammy Satterley, KCTCS.
and Sue Ellen Lathrop.
Sue Ellen Lathrop, Western Kentucky University.
I recognize we also have a guest, Andrew Adler.
Andrew Adler from Western Kentucky University.
Thank you. First item be the approval of the minutes. This is from the November 26, 2024 meeting. I sent those minutes out. That was our previous meeting. Were there any corrections or information omitted that needs to be included? Hearing no discussion, do we approve the minutes? All right. Mark that off. All right. And the next item was the discussion of the State University model. I didn't have any prepared items for this quarter. I know, again, we missed the previous two meetings, and there's some outstanding issues related to reviewing the term of the permanent record in the use of that term in the language of the retention. That's still ongoing. My apologies. But did anybody else have any items that they wanted to discuss, or questions that had come up or arose?
I had one.
Yes, Hannah.
Hi. So recently I have been kind of shuffling boxes around and I noticed we have a large number of things that are, well, records that are labeled as grade rosters. The best I can understand is that they would be considered final grade submission reports. So it's kind of, yeah, it's a report of the grades from certain semesters ranging from like 1982 through like the early 2000s, and it's about 180 boxes. I was just wondering, since on the retention schedule they're considered permanent, just what the reasoning for that was. I'm not as familiar with this kind of record, but it seems to me that this information would be reflected on a student's transcript, which would be, I assume, under the student academic performance file. So I was just wondering why these submission reports are also considered permanent. And we can always think about it and come back to this later. I can send an email if that's more helpful, but I was wondering if anyone had any thoughts.
You said these were the like a roster of the class that was submitted with their grades.
That's correct.
Hmm.
Yeah, and as far as I can tell, would classify them as Series U0432, which is final grade submission reports.
That, I'm not being familiar with it. I can't give a idea. But if someone else has off the top of their head, we could talk about that, or again, we can discuss this uh, and bring it back to December meeting or the November meeting.
I feel like when does the record become, when I'm going from the instructor, the professor to the transcript, when does it become part of the permanent record, and what part are we considering the permanent record for the university? Is it the transcript or is it the actual submission? And now it's going to be all digital, right? So it's not like you've got that paper trail that you have to follow, but I think it's just a question of where does it reside as the permanent record? Is it on the student's transcript, or is it in the registrars, or wherever those records? Apparently they're stored in your area, because we don't get those records at Northern Kentucky. They stay with the registrar. Not that that helps the whole discussion, but
This
No.
came up, WKU this summer because we had everybody had to get out of Cherry Hall. And there's lots of them that the registrars held. And if you, somewhere on the schedule where the professors submit their grades, it has, what they submit, they do not have to keep. I mean, that's not considered permanent on their end. So to me, it's more like a workflow issue. This is how they used to be submitted. Now they're submitted electronically, and we don't keep that electronic submission permanently. And it might be better to back it off to a 5-year use. In talking to our registrar, she said that like one time they had to go back, that in her memory, they had to go back. A student complained about a grade, and they had them so they could check and say, no, sorry, you're wrong. But beyond 5 years, probably nobody's gonna come back and say my grades aren't what I thought they were. So anyway, my 2 cents.
Yeah, that's the way I was kind of thinking as well. They have value in holding on to them in case there's some sort of like academic dispute for grades. And as far as our university archivist can remember, nobody's ever needed to look in these particular boxes, especially since they're, 25 years old or more at this point. But we are considering them permanent currently just because, as far as I can tell, yeah, they would be those final grade submission reports.
You,
But
you
I
said
was,
you had them going back to about 1982. Was there like a cutoff point? Like we don't have that, are they
um,
up to current or?
yeah, this specific accession of records, I think spans 82 to like around 2000, 2002.
Okay.
So what I'm thinking is maybe the registrar's office at that point cleared out and sent us a bunch of stuff.
also the appeals retention time is the student has basically a window, right? And we're only keeping those for 3 years.
So yeah, it could be shorter than 5 years. And I don't know, it may go back to, what's the acronym? CREO, the registrar's record keeping group. It may go back to that, what they say, but I still feel like we consider the electronic submission a workflow issue, and I don't see the paper being any different than that. It's a workflow, and all of those, I mean, we've got them clear back to 1907, and and nobody's accessing them or need them.
I'd like to note, we were joined by Carlos Lopez. Can you say your institution?
Yes, Carlos Lopez, University of Kentucky, and right now I am in at SAA. So having little issues before I could get in here, but glad to see everybody.
Yeah. And Dieter Ulrich.
Hey, I got my audio working. Dieter Ulrich, Moritz State University. Doing it from home, so I don't know what kind of reception I'm getting. So we'll see how it goes.
We're hearing you loud and clear right now.
Well, thank you all for your thoughts on those particular records. I think what I can do is maybe send an email to the group and we can discuss again in December to see, I don't know, potentially if we could change the retention for this particular series.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on record series or the state university model?
I have a question, not so much about the state university model specifically or any of the series in there, but I do have a question about when we refer to the state university series versus the general series that governs all state institutions. Like, or I mean, I generally default to the state university model, but I just yesterday ran into a circumstance, and I'm not going to be able to remember what it was, but something that's not covered in the state university model, but is covered in the general. And that's my understanding, like, that we look first at the state and then look at the general, or is there a different, should I be handling that in a different way?
Well, it's been my understanding that the universities only use the state university model, and as such, there you will find a redundancy. Some record series that record series is existing in on both, but on the university one, it is the retention may be the same, but the function and use of it is to the university specific situation.
In this circumstance, there is not, it's in the general, but there is nothing in the state that addresses it. So, like, in order, should we then at that point follow the general, or should we come to this group and say we need something in the state that addresses this?
The second, we need to address it in the state university model, and that's been my understanding of how the universities have operated. At least even before I was the point of contact here.
Okay.
But if there's precedent,
I will go back and look at my notes. I'm at home right now and that's at work, but I will go back and look at my notes and come back to the group with what it was that I found in the general that wasn't in the state. And we were specifically looking for, like, there's what I can't remember it, like I said, what the record was, but I'll find it and bring it to the group.
Okay. Yeah, and just as a point of order, I'm hoping that my workflow for this body is going to improve as it has in this past 6 months, the first half of 2025. I've got a better workflow now, and hopefully we won't have any too big of gaps in communication. So you send that to me, and we'll get this to the group for review. And if there's no other discussions, we'll move on to other business. Sue Ellen, did you want to give the floor to you?
Yes, thanks. I just want to let everybody know I have resigned from WKU. My last day is Friday, so I just popped on here to say see you around.
We'll miss you.
Thank you.
Yeah, as I said to you in the email, you brought a much needed wealth of experience and perspective to this to the discussions this group's had, and I've always uh, been a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you. It's been fun being on the committee for 18 years. Oh, God.
Can we all be so lucky? Um, but yeah, we'll miss Sue Ellen, and I had no other announcements. Again, part of this reason is I didn't want to let August pass without having this meeting and the connection, the questions we come up with. So I really wanted even falling behind on a bit of my work, get this going and not let it lapse again. Anybody else has any other business? I'll give the floor to you. If not, we can adjourn.
I have a question for the other people.
Yes.
So we've been, we are brand new, we're just starting out, and so we were contacted by UK Healthcare, and they are doing their own sort of records audit, and when we were talking to them about the university model and just basically retention overall, they were kind of saying, well, we'll let our lawyers deal with retention when it comes to that. And I was wondering if anyone has received any type of pushback like this from any of your departments or any, administration, and, what to do in that situation where they're basically saying we're going to do not what is in the retention. If there's a conflict between what we want to do and what's in the retention, we'll let our lawyers handle that.
The only I'm not an attorney, so I don't take legal advice, I guess, from a records analyst. But it's my understanding that the state university model and the retention schedules that we have for all our state agencies, they're incorporated by reference in the administrative regulations. They do have the weight of statute behind them. So when the attorneys are looking at that is something to keep in mind. If there is not, compliance with the retention periods, then it's probably going to be between the organization or office that is not being compliant, or if there's an issue, and the Attorney General's office. So, and that would be in the case of any kind of discovery or open records request. So that's just my understanding of it. So they can proceed with that information and just make their own way.
I had a run-in with our legal counsel probably a couple of years ago in regards to our personnel roster that had salaries on it. And of course, it was open to the public. But our attorney was like, no, it's not. And it went back and forth. Eventually went all the way to the president's office, and I kind of got talked down to. But all I kept saying is that if you look at the records retention schedule, you'll see that you cannot do that. And then the next year came by, and all of a sudden, no one apologized, nothing. It all said, oh, everything's back to normal. If someone wants to look at that, they can come to the library and view the personnel roster as well as our operational budget. So I guess attorneys have their own way of doing things, and it goes further up the administration. You can guarantee they're not going to admit they're wrong. So I would just constantly keep going back, send them copies. I sent, I don't know how many people copies of the records retention schedule so that they knew. And then I would highlight, tell them what section to look into. This specifically says this. And then sometimes maybe you'll get lucky. Maybe the attorney will say, oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we didn't look at it from that perspective. But Yeah, I've run into that. It's not fun because they just assume you're some clerk and they don't want to deal with you. They want to have it their way, and they're just going to do it their way until you tell them otherwise, or they get caught, or someone get asked them for it. And I think someone asked them for it outside. I think some news agency must have asked them for it, and then all of a sudden it just went away. So yeah, I would just send everybody a copy of it, send the link, say this is it. Look at it. What you're doing, you may be wrong. Don't say they're wrong, just say they're may be wrong. And then hopefully they'll catch on. That's my experience with them.
I will say, to me, it's building those relationships with legal counsel and IT and just having us work together as a team. Because you want to reduce the risk to the university. And sometimes you just need to speak their language. Like we're trying to reduce risk. We're not trying to tell you how to do your job. We're trying to manage this risk. And, you know, state statute says blah. So, I mean, I have a good relationship with ours, even though we've had some kind of headbutting on some other issues that were staff related for my staff Congress, but we do have a good relationship, and you just want to keep those conversations going. I think that's the best. Like we're a team. We're not going against each other, right?
Right. Right. Yeah, that's some of the things I was thinking.
Yeah, and I can add as another institution that has a medical school and affiliations with hospitals is that here at least where we have the U of L hospital, we have associated clinics. We are affiliated with Norton Health. So yeah, I understand it gets very complicated, and each of those entities have their own health information management offices that I've been trying to not break into physically, but been trying to make those connections with them. So I guess that's more of a commiseration than anything, but it is very complicated when you start looking at groups that are, maybe affiliated with the university, but not technically the university. It's complicated.
Thank you
I
all
felt
for
that
that.
way when we did the athletic records, because I was the one that was trying to add the schedules, and I was trying to get something from NCAA, and I got kind of pushback from them going, your representative needs to talk to us. And I'm like, I'm not talking to you as an NKU employee. I'm talking to you as we're trying to do a state schedule, and none of your retention times are anywhere on your website. So I kind of feel like it's that same thing where they're used to functioning in their own little silos. And I don't know, it's difficult, especially with the medical, right? So it's not like we're trying to tell them to do something different. We're just trying to make sure we're all, and I again would say that, reducing risk to the university. Reducing, just speak that language, right? It's a business thing.
I appreciate all that. Yeah, that's basically, we're brand new here, so they've been working on this for the past 2 years. So they've already got sort of an idea of where they're coming from. So we just sort of, just need to come in and let them know, like, yeah, we're trying to make sure that we are making sure that that we are reducing risk to the university. So I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Okay, well, if there are no other questions, I'd like to thank you all for your time, and we will get on Hannah's question and Chris's question, and be on the lookout for those. And if there's anything in the meantime, just let me know, and we'll address it as needed.
And just to confirm, what is our next scheduled meeting date?
November 18th. I put it on the Tuesday before the week of Thanksgiving. So it's a busy time around here, and there's a lot of scheduled days off out of office. So we get there and get it on the calendar now, so everybody's aware of it. All right, well, thank you all. Have a good evening or afternoon.
Bye, everybody.